Israel faces new and substantial threats on so many fronts right now. The largest and most dangerous comes from the growing axis of resistance. And of course, it's global proxies. Israel's prepared, as you all know, to defend itself from a direct Iranian attack. We've done that before. Israel's ready to defend itself on that level, but it looks like things are growing beyond that. What happens? And what's seeming to take place now? What happens when North Korea and Russia and China all start playing in? That's a crazy situation, and that may just be what's happening right now. We're going to take a look into that. There's so much at stake. Not only Israel and Israel defending itself from that kind of onslaught, but what about Western civilization? What about America? What about Europe? Well, it's what the crazy thing is that all of that in context, Israel stands alone, but yet these Western countries that are supposedly allied with Israel are still limiting the military shipments to Israel in light of all of this craziness. So I'll say it bluntly. Very bluntly, Israel now stands completely alone in a battle that most see as nothing less than the final battle. The battle foretold by the ancient prophets of Israel, a battle of biblical proportions. A battle of biblical proportions, ladies and gentlemen, could just be where we're at right now. Guys, stay tuned as we outline it, threat by threat, nation by nation. I'm Joshua, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome back to the Israel Guys, where we believe in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda. You should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Guys, if you're not yet subscribed, go ahead, do that, do all that. Let's get the conversation going on the bottom in the chat here. Guys, world leaders seem to be going a little bit nuts right now. Like we just described. This is outrageous. Was this a generation you thought you were going to live in? To see these kind of level of obstructions and craziness in the world, where leaders are making awful decisions. Israel standing alone in a really the only common sense nation known to man. What seems like most common sense people are agreeing with what Israel. You attack terrorists. As a matter of fact, the king of terrorists that they just took out, Ismail, that's great. Most people would think that'd be amazing. But let's take a look at what the world leaders are saying right now in light of not only the war in Gaza and the war in the north and with Hezbollah, but it's growing beyond that now after Israel just took out Ismail. Well, after this happens, the world seems to take a tune they're going in a different direction. And they're condemning Israel for killing one of the most evil people on the planet, one that mastermind terrorist attacks against innocent people. Since when was that okay? It's not okay. But let's take a deep dive here. Russia, we'll start with Russia. The department spokesman, the deputy spokesman for the Russian Foreign Ministry says the region is currently balancing on the brink of a global conflict. Putin calls Israel taking out Ismail unacceptable political murder. That's straight from Putin. He and we can see it right here. Let's see him see this. A little bit hard to hear, but this is him saying it. Of course, in Russian he's saying it here, so you can't really. You're not going to understand what he's saying, but this is what he's saying. He says this is a unacceptable political murder. So this is outrageous that this could be happening on a large scale. Nations are all saying this. Now, let's look at China. China, the Global Times says that this assassination of Hamas political leader, a blatant attempt to sabotage peace efforts. So this is China's kind of view of things. They're saying that this is you're sabotaging anything that could be good. They literally just in Beijing had a conference and they hosted 14 different Palestinian terror groups to try to unify them. What would be the use in unifying terror groups? To fight Israel better. So China's not on the right side of things here as well. We know that about Russia. We know that Russia holds a pretty hostile approach to Israel. They have a very strong two-state solution approach. China is the same. China has very strong cut Israel in half. Let's create a Palestinian state to continue to attack Israel. They may not say that last part, but that's evident. Terrorist organization, you give them the rights to a land, they're not going to stop attacking Israel. So China also falls into this. They're trying to unify terror groups of course, do what terror groups do, attack Israel. Hey guys, we'll be right back. But first, Israel's brave soldiers risk everything to defend God's people and the free world from evil. Many have paid a terrible price, coming home with devastating injuries that have changed their lives forever. Take Lieutenant Colonel Mayan Mullah. In Gaza to fight Hamas, he was ambushed and struck by over 140 pieces of shrapnel throughout his body. Mayan has already endured 7 surgeries and is now permanently disabled, unable to work or to be with his wife and young children as he rehabilitates. Think about Sar Axelrod, a young father gravely wounded by Hezbollah rocket, which left him with a skull fracture, brain injury, and broken bones. He also remains hospitalized, unable to return home to his pregnant wife and the 10-month-old son he may never be able to pick up again. These heroic soldiers sacrificed everything to protect our freedom. Now they need our help to support their families as they recover. The financial burden they face is unimaginable. Please give generously at the link in the description below to provide critical assistance for food, housing, childcare, and more. Help the wounded warriors who sacrificed everything for us. Now let's go to Iran. Iran, according to the Washington Post, Iran vows revenge for killing Hamas leader in Tehran. We've got, of course, what would you expect from Iran? That's exactly what we all expect. They said there's going to be an attack any moment. Iran's leaders have ordered attacks imminently. We don't know what this is. So here's a little scene from Iran. Of course, we don't have to explain Iran's policies on Israel. That's pretty evident for everyone. We already know what their plan is. They want to eliminate Israel from the map. That's their ideology. So again, to make it clear for Russia and China, and these that we're going to be talking about, North Korea, Turkey, these main player nations, the fact that they're agreeing and unifying together with Iran is evident of where they're headed. So let's take a look really quickly before we dive in further to the funeral happening just hours ago of Ismail in Iran. You see thousands and thousands and thousands of people gathered here in the streets of Iran, and of course, massive posters and the whole thing. He seems to have really become like a national hero. How could your national heroes literally be such jerks, such evil people? To mastermind such evil against civilians, and how that could be your model and hero is beyond what's even could be thought of. I mean, Western civilizations. This is a scary moment when this kind of thing is held as such in such grandeur. Really, incredibly hard to understand how we're living in a day like this to see these kind of things. North Korea, JNS News says. In its rapidly escalating struggle against Iran and its proxies, Israel could ultimately face a nuclear North Korea. We'll talk about it here in a minute. We'll continue the quote. As Iran's state proxy, okay? We'll continue. While the outcome of such a confrontation might be absurd, it could still prove injurious beyond any historical measure. I don't think anybody, and that's end of quote, I don't think anybody would put North Korea beyond, that this is beyond North Korea. North Korea is very, we have no earthly idea what's going to go on there. But the fact that they're unifying with Iran is a potentially very also a scary situation. Again, Russia, China, North Korea, all coming together. The last one we're talking about is Turkey with Erdogan. He's actually a NATO ally, which is hard for many to understand right now. Literally, Erdogan says this, we must be very strong so that Israel can't do these ridiculous things to Palestinians. He says, just like we entered Kabaka, just like we entered Libya, we might do similar to them. He also said there that the reason why we can't do this, he said there's no reason why we can't do this. We must be strong so that we can take these steps. That's him saying all of that there in Turkey. So here's the foreign minister, Israeli foreign minister Israel Katz, following, he says this, quote, following Saddam Hussein's footsteps, and threatens to attack Israel. That was a quote about these statements from Erdogan. Obviously, Saddam Hussein didn't end so well, and the Israeli foreign minister is making that point to Erdogan. Okay, so now quickly, before we finish out here, what about the Western nations and their arms embargoes on Israel? it seemed like to me that Israel is at the forefront, and it seems like to all of you watching, I'm sure, Israel's at the forefront of defending Western civilization against these radical, people, whether it's Islamic or just whatever that is coming from Russia and China, these global agendas that are wanting to take over and to for sure annihilate any sort of life of Western civilization that many hold dear, of course. Here's Britain, which doesn't make any sense why they wouldn't be helping Israel, why they would be pulling away from Israel. What do you say? I don't get what that message is. Is that message that, okay, we just want to give up, let's retreat? That's what the message you're definitely sending to the overall enemies. You're definitely sending a retreating message when you don't stand with your allies. Here we go. Ynet says, silent arms embargo against Israel harms security and slows weapons production. That's from Britain, okay? This is what's happening now. It's been silent. And then again, Israel Hayom says Britain's Labour government is poised to impose an arms export ban on Israel. All of this could happen any moment. And this is they've already done it to some extent. I was talking about this. Jerusalem fears the imminent British announcement that it will halt defense exports and is just the first sign of a broader trend and will further affect the development of IDF combat systems during the ongoing war. Israel must explore alternative solutions. So we've had this already. They have slowed the import of equipment into Israel, or at least product into Israel, and has slowed down Israel's ability to fight. Now let's look at France. Has done exactly the same thing. We have Ynet reporting that a French manufacturer delayed for months the shipment of raw material for a major operational project for the IDF, which is produced by an Israeli defense industry. The multi-billion-dollar project continues, but at a slower pace, which has pushed back its completion date. So we have Britain supposedly about to do this thing, France already doing it, and then we have the U.S. The U.S. is the other, would be the player in this whole thing. Obviously, Britain and France would be sub-players, and this larger scale, America still holds a massive responsibility in all of this. And what do you know? America is still withholding larger bombs from Israel. They started shipping those 500-pound bombs, but we still don't have the 2,000-pound bombs coming to Israel. Why? On this large of a level, you'd think that that'd be a no-brainer. We're allies, and you're fighting something so much bigger than you. Let's help out. Now, I say that. Here's Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin in saying a few words that were actually consoling to me, and hopefully to you, that America actually does have Israel's back. At least he said it. We'll see what actually happens. We know there's a lot going on in America politically. We'll see what happens, boots on the ground. We'll see if this comes to fruition. But what he said was good. Here it is.
Yeah, I said I don't think war is inevitable. I maintain that. I think there's always room and opportunities for diplomacy, and I'd like to see parties pursue those opportunities. If Israel is attacked, we certainly will help defend Israel. You saw us do that in April. You can expect to see us do that again. But we don't want to see any of that happen. We're going to work hard to make sure that we're doing things to help take the temperature down and address issues through diplomatic means.
That's very comforting, of course, that that America does have Israel's back in the event of an attack. If Israel, I would say though, if you don't call Israel under attack already, I don't know what it is. We have hundreds of rockets every day coming at Israel. So yes, maybe the U.S. is looking for something a little larger to get involved. Understand that if America gets involved in a deeper way, it also causes potentially the other side, that other axis, the Russia, the North Korea, the China, the Turkey. Maybe America's trying to withhold that. I understand that. But Israel is facing existential threats right now, right where I'm sitting. In the end, conclusion, in UK, there's a man, a part of the armed forces, Lord Robertson, He said this about this axis. He says that it's a deadly quartet, meaning these four nations that have bound together right now, and Israel is facing the brunt of this. Right? We have Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. This is a relatively new thing. What to do about this really is the big question of the moment. Will Israel face them alone, or will forces of good in the nations, all those from around the world, will they join in protecting, defending the one and only Jewish state? That remains to be seen. But we stand with Israel wholeheartedly. We give to Israel all that we have. All those that are listening now, I would beg you to support Israel for the most that you have. Do everything that you can within your power to support and strengthen the Jewish nation. Remember, the one and only Jewish nation that is once again back in its homeland. And from my perspective, this place is not going to go anywhere. You watch, you'll see. Israel is here to stay. The world and all of the ruckus surrounding it, I put more faith in what God is doing with the Jewish people in the land of Israel than any of that. Guys, don't forget to subscribe, get the conversation going down below. And as always, stop listening to the lies and the propaganda and connect to the truth of what is happening here in the land of Israel.